Greetings, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to another episode of the SavvyCat Podcast. I'm Savvy.
I'm Cat.
And so together we are SavvyCat because we are creative 12-year-olds who decided to start a film company. Yeah, hello, welcome back. I was going to say we've taken a break. We haven't. We have, but... Before.
Yeah.
You've already... Hi. It's only been a week.
Yeah. Sup? Back to regular uploads. I hope you enjoy our content.
We will be posting weekly from now on. Moving is hard.
Yeah. A lot of things have gone very confusing, and of course we just haven't had the time to... But now we do. And everything is sorted out, and we are all good to go.
And we'll be upgrading equipment.
Yeah. Upgrading equipment. Yeah. We're set.
Exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, well, hello. Oh my god.
Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting, and I'm quite excited for today's topic.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this for a long time. Mm-hmm. Savannah got me into a show, which I love.
It is one of the best shows.
Definitely.
One of the best shows.
Definitely one of the top, 3 writing. It's... Bojack Horseman is such a good show.
It's phenomenal.
It's amazing. Mm-hmm. I highly, highly recommend it. And to be completely honest, it's one of those shows where I don't really like adult cartoons. To be completely honest, it's not really my thing. It's not really kind of my taste, especially adult comedy cartoons.
You don't like Rick and Morty?
No.
Sorry. I'm taking that as a no.
No. It's just not really my taste. It's not really my style. But Bojack Horseman is so good. It's so good. Just the writing, the things they tackle, the artistic direction that they do. Mm-hmm.
They think about every single thing that happens. Everything that happens in the background is thought out. Just everything.
You can really tell it's one of those shows that was created for the purpose of art. It's 100% just entirely to push across a message and to create a story and to develop themes that they truly do care about, which I love. I love how coherent the story is, how awful the story is, how no character is good or bad. There are some terrible, terrible people in that show. And they're so real. It's so realistic. And it gets to the point where it's so realistic and you can really see all their drives and motivations and everything that makes them who they are, that you feel awful for them, but also you hate them so much and that you completely forget that they're a talking horse. That's just not even part of you. Just forget that they're a talking horse. Yeah. It's so good.
Every character is awful, but amazing.
Yeah. In saying that, because I really want to start talking about specifics, spoiler warning.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen it, firstly, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend seeing it. I'm going to be going into very specific details, which are very, very... it's not, soft spoilers. It's high spoilers.
It's you will know the entire plot of the show.
Yeah.
From start to finish. Kat is very, very good at analysing and talking about things, so I'm mostly going to be nodding and agreeing with her, I think.
Thank you. Tell me if I talk too much, because I get a bit passionate about these things.
I will be listening whoa, yeah, I knew that, but I couldn't put it into words, so thank you for explaining the inside of my brain.
Cut it.
I am your audience today.
Thank you. Yeah, so just spoiler warning, we'll be talking about a lot of very specific details in a lot of the episodes. And it's a very, very good show. So.
I have watched it 5 times, I think. I think that's the 3rd time I've watched it this year.
Nice. I watched it once. And the fact that it's still very, very specifically detailed in my mind shows how much I really care about the show. Yeah, so spoiler warning, please go watch it. Anyways, I think the best way to do this is to go through our favorite episodes.
Second to last episode of every season, man.
Yeah, the second to last episode of every...
Oh, my good lord. They do the most intense episode, second to last episode of each season.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking intense. What's the season 1 second to last episode? I don't remember. We watched it quite quickly and I get confused about... Sarah Lynn is season 2, right?
Sarah Lynn is season 3.
Season 3. What was season 1 and 2?
Season 2 is New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico. Yeah.
Season 2, New Mexico. Season 3, Sarah Lynn. Season 4 is the funeral.
I don't think that's the second to last episode.
Okay. I don't know.
Oh, that's when his mom...
Yeah.
The nursing home.
Yeah.
And then season 6 is the pool. But what's season 1?
I was that the episode when he sleeps with Sarah Lynn?
The drug one?
Yeah.
Maybe. You know what? It's unimportant.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
We should have taken notes. We're going completely off the cusp here.
Yeah.
You know us. We're a really high budget, well thought out fucking podcast. Everything is talked about. We've got notes. We totally are so on top of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The episode I do want to talk about, which I've wanted to talk about.
The Sarah Lynn episode?
Yeah. The Sarah Lynn episode is one of my favorite episodes of any show ever. I can't stop thinking about it. It messed me up.
It's
real
fucked,
bad,
man.
It's so awful. Not awful as in it's bad. It's awful as in I spent every single second going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on? The episode where Sarah Lynn dies is one of the most raw things I've ever seen on television. Because it's... Basically, the whole episode is they're just going on a trip. It starts off with Sarah Lynn being sober.
9 months sober.
9 months sober.
Mm-hmm.
And Bojack comes in and asks her to get high with him. And then it's just one big bender where Bojack tries to ask forgiveness from people that he's hurt before. And it's kind of the whole topic is basically this big thing of like, when you make mistakes, how do you make it up to people? And it's kind of this thing of like, you can't really, but he needs to get over his own internal guilt. And there's some characters forgive him immediately. They're just like, it was bad, but I forgive you. Some characters, just when he goes to ask for forgiveness, he brings back up all the trauma that they've just gone over, and it destroys it almost doubly than the first time. And it's this big thing of Bojack keeping on asking for forgiveness while he's simultaneously making the biggest mistake of ruining Sarah Lynn's life, who then he can't ask for forgiveness at the end of the episode. So it's this big kind of thing of like, how do you make up for your mistakes if you haven't actually changed as a person? And you can't. And that's why Sarah Lynn dies.
See, again, these are not things that my brain really figures out for itself. I'm just like, yes, this is happening. This is very upsetting.
Yeah.
But my brain didn't really comprehend the whole he's asking for forgiveness while doing something unforgivable. And then, no, my brain didn't do that. Yeah. I'm just stupid.
No, I overthink things. I overthink things way too much.
I always think that I'm being big brain. Then you talk and I'm like, no, I was not being big brain. Oh.
Yeah, I overthink things very much so. Did you just steal my Ribena?
No.
Okay.
I did not. You can't prove anything.
Yeah. One of the worst parts of that episode, I think, is like the most obvious one. It's like halfway through, Bojack's like, what would you be if you weren't like a child TV star? And she's like, I want to be an architect, right? And it's this kind of thing of like, you consider the fact that Sarah Lynn didn't really ask to be, like, she didn't ask to be in that position her whole life.
And she said that as well. Yeah, she's like, it should be illegal.
Yeah, exactly. Being a child star must be so awful.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that young, especially with that fucked up of cast on that fucked up of a TV show. Like, she shouldn't have been around Bojack in the first place. Her mum... I don't want to get into the parents of that show. But it's a very real problem, especially.
The thing with Bojack, right, is it talks about all these things that are so real. Like, it does not hold back.
No.
And, like, the dark humor is so good. Like, the fucking episode about abortion. And they're like, now on abortion, we're going to go talk to 5 white men. It's so good. Because they just say it exactly how it is. And it's so fucking funny.
Yeah, the abortion episode is brilliant.
It's so good.
The whole thing is like...
baby gone. We're killing babies today, my guys.
And then she keeps her child at the end.
She's 15.
I know. Oh, it's fucked up, man.
The whole Chicken for Days episode too. Bro, the fuck, man.
Yeah, it literally everything underneath the sun.
It covers literally everything.
Yeah.
And the whole thing by the end of it is the like accountability.
Yeah.
It talks about accountability so much. Like, after how long is it acceptable to, like, where's the line?
Yeah.
Where, how can you really change? Mm. And after, like, a lot of time and a lot of change, and you haven't, like, reoffended for a decent amount of time, and then you get caught going to jail or having punishment, what's the reasonable punishment for that? Mm-hmm. Where's the line?
Yeah. And
it is really, really interesting.
I like how it never answers that question.
Yeah, it never answers it.
No. And, like, there's no, like, Bojack ends up in a pretty good place at the end, despite all the shit he's done. But he doesn't have any friends. Like, yeah.
And he's in jail.
But in terms of, like, himself, within himself, he's a lot better, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I really like the last scene with Diane, where she's like, I'm glad I knew you, but I don't want to know you anymore.
That's very big of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very proud of her at the end. Actually, I want to talk about something real bad. This show does something I've never seen in a television show before. When Diane goes into antidepressants and she gains weight and it's seen as a positive thing, it meant so much to me. It meant so much to me. Because, you know, it's all that thing. Like, nobody comments on it.
Mm-mm.
Nobody comments on it unless it's like the only time they do comment on it is her boyfriend being super supportive of it.
Yeah. Well, it's that thing of, like, she said that, like, she's like, I didn't like being on antidepressants because they made me gain a lot of weight and that made me unhappy. Yeah. And he's like, that's so stupid. Mm-hmm. I just want you to be happy. Yeah. Fucking put on the weight, my guy. Be happy.
Yeah. And the fact that they keep her on antidepressants, and she's obviously so much better.
The way they showed depression was so good too. It wasn't like, you know, just like being sad all the time and crying. It was the fucking depression mess and being ashamed of that, being like, oh shit, my house is a mess and now someone's come over. Yeah. It's the sitting there and having your brain just be mush and hating yourself because you feel like you can't achieve anything. And it's just...
Yeah, the one part where Diane is like, she's writing, but she feels better, so she can't write because she feels like she needs to be depressed. And then it's that whole thing of like...
The amount of times watching this show, the amount of times Kat and I just went...
Yeah, Diane, I am Diane, which is terrible to say, but I related to her character so much.
Yeah, she is a very relatable character.
Yeah, she does this whole thing which made me cry very much, where she goes, I suffered through a lot of trauma and a lot of hard childhood, and if I can't write about it, then it was pointless.
What was it all for?
Yeah. Which hurts so much.
Well, yeah, that's why, you know, I've been talking to you about, like, making a video about my trauma and stuff, because, and it's fucking hard. And it's shit, and it's hard to talk about, and like, but it's that thing of like, but if I don't talk about it, and I don't help people using my trauma, then what the fuck was the point of going through it? Yeah. You have to be able to do something with it, because otherwise it's just pain.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
what?
Exactly. And
which isn't true.
It's not true at all. It's not true
like,
at all.
It's character growth, right? Like, without my trauma and shit, I wouldn't be here right now. This wouldn't be my life. I'd be a completely different person.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be as, I don't know what we would be.
Yeah.
You know, it's this interesting thing of like, you know, people ask, like, if you could go back in time and change something, what would you change? And like, if you asked me a few years ago, I would have said, well, I would have removed this traumatic aspect of my life. But then I wouldn't be where I am. And it's super interesting. Yeah. So it's like, you don't need to do anything with it. It created your own gold cracks, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of... One of the things that... Speaking of trauma and stuff, one of the things that I saw a lot of complaints about, but I actually really liked that they did it, was the whole New Mexico thing, right? With... What was her name?
Penny?
Penny.
The daughter?
Yeah.
Penny.
A lot of people complained that at the ending of the show they didn't show what happened to her, but I actually really enjoyed that. I thought it was not enjoyed it, but
no, I know what you mean.
I thought it was really good, because some people don't want to be public about it. Some it's like, it. What were they going to do? Like, she's going to live with that her whole life. What happened? What Bojack did was. I
think that it showed consent quite well there too, right? Because it's like, she's like, I'm 17, it's legal, I want to. And then he's like, he said no, but then obviously felt bad and was like, well. Yeah. And then you see years later how that really affected her. And that sort of shows that power dynamic of like older men and younger women. Like, just because you're of the age of consent doesn't mean you can fully consent. There's still like power dynamics that come into things. Yeah. And it is a super interesting take on that. And I think that it is really important to show that shit, because so many people are like, well, it's legal, and that's not everything.
It's legal, but it's not ethical.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. They did it so well. So well. Every single character on that show is so... On a lighter note, can we talk about Todd?
Todd! Oh, my baby. I love Todd so much. Oh, my God. I love him so much. I would do anything for Todd.
Todd is such a good character. Like, he's supposed to be the comic relief, but his strength throughout this whole...
he adds a lot.
He adds so much.
Also, asexuality representation.
I know.
I like that they talked about that, like, that you can be asexual and, like, panromantic. Yeah. Or, like, you can be... And he was like, you can be asexual... it's fucking good. But like, they showed that there's different ways to be asexual, and you can still like feel romantic relationships, and you can still have sex and be asexual, and like, it's quite an interesting thing. And I think that, again, you don't really ever see that talked about anywhere.
I think that, and I haven't seen it, but I think Sex Education are the only shows that have said asexual on TV.
I think atypical.
Atypical?
Did they talk about it in atypical?
I haven't seen that before.
I haven't seen it, but I think someone said they had an ace character in atypical as well. Okay. But yeah, other than that, it's very, very rare. I'm glad that it's...
And what is important to me is they said the words, and not only said the words, kept saying them. They had a whole dating app.
I had a whole dating app.
Like, it wasn't just a one and done episode. It was his...
It was his life, and it was a continual thing, and like, it showed him being like, I don't feel comfortable with the label, I don't really want to think about it, to him being like, yes, I embrace this, this is what I am.
Yeah. That scene where he goes to the asexual meeting.
I know! My freaking heart, man. Oh my God. The asexual gathering.
Yeah.
And then he makes a fucking sex robot for his friend, because he's like, but I really like you, and I feel really bad that we can't date because we can't have sex. And it's so...
I know.
Oh...
I know. It's ridiculous.
It's so funny, the just like versatility of things that happen in that fucking show. Like just the fact that the entire show is Hollywood.
Yeah.
Is so good.
Yeah, the fact that like obviously timelines, we watched it so fast, but like the concept of, you know, Bojack being at that house where his mother, you know, grew up. Mm-hmm. And then like a couple episodes later in my head was when they fell into the ground and had that like colony of people, like queens and stuff. Like the fact that was in the same kind of, it's great.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good combination of just like really lighthearted and really heavy, and they somehow managed to do all of that so well. And the fact, like, I mean, with the use of dark humor and stuff, right? Like they talk about really serious issues, but make it so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
because they're never laughing at the issues. They're laughing at how fucked up it is.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously like, I don't think it's a thing of like, you couldn't write this stuff if you hadn't experienced half of these things yourself, which is terrible to say. But yeah, there's a certain awareness that comes with that, and obviously people who have experienced these kinds of things won't.
I just like remembered the whole thing about like feminism, and it's like Bojack, Diane's like, I will talk about feminism and my experience so vocally, and no one will listen to me. You say half the shit that I do and everyone will listen because you're a man.
Yeah.
And it's fucked. And it's true. If a man is talking about feminism, people are so much more likely to listen. Yeah. And it's fucked.
Yeah.
And they talk about that and they show that, and it's like, it's not a joke. It's not funny. And like, they don't make that funny.
No.
But like, then they talk about the guns.
Yeah.
America hates women more than it loves guns. And it's so fucking funny because it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
That whole scene of them, like, you know, women have guns. One person was killed by a woman with a gun, so they just ban guns in the whole of California because they're like, a woman killed someone with a gun? No, we can't be having that. Women cannot be trusted. We must get rid of guns. And it was so funny. It's so funny. But it's an important topic. But they did it so well. It's fucking hilarious. Yeah. Oh, and God.
Also, can I say, like, on the topic of feminism and stuff like that, Princess Caroline's whole plot is basically her struggle with trying to be a mother.
Yeah.
And it was never a joke. Like, you could easily make the fact that she was infertile a joke. But they never did. Mm-mm. Not once. They treated it just as seriously as it should have been. And I loved that.
And talking about her miscarriages and her coping mechanisms and things. Like, and then fucking Ralph.
I don't want to speak about that.
Bro, I don't understand why he didn't call her. It doesn't make any... How do you just walk out and never speak to her again and be like, I thought that's what you want? What?
Oh, you had a miscarriage? Oh, goodbye.
I don't... But then she gets Ruthie.
Ruthie? Oh, Ruthie.
And they talk about that as well, like her struggle with like, I don't feel what I think I'm supposed to be feeling towards my baby. Like that disconnect. And like, I feel like a lot of mothers experience that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think putting that on there to be like, a lot of people sort of, and then the like, think of being a mother as your job.
Yeah.
You'll feel what you feel. Yeah. But your job is to keep that baby safe.
Yeah. They did it so well. So incredibly well. And I love the contrast.
Yeah, that was
real bad. I apologize for that. The contrast of all the parents in that show are pretty shit. And especially
I can't name a single good parent other than Princess Carolyn at the end.
But that's the thing, like, it's pretty much when Bojack has his stuff with his mother that you get Princess Carolyn being a good mother, which is a really nice contrast. Like, you could just be like, oh, it's all the parents' fault. But no, there are good parents in this world. And it's a really lovely way to do it that I really appreciated. Like, they always have something to, like, they don't go, oh, this is bad. It's like, no, this could be good if you do it right. And it's just that balance between them. Yeah. Do you want to talk about Bojack's mother? Because that's a fucked up situation.
Beatrice?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That whole thing. And then when they explain her backstory, that whole thing is fucked.
Yeah. Accountability in that.
And it really does show, like, nature versus nurture sort of thing. What I don't get, it's interesting because, like, Bojack was fine for a period of his youth. Mm-hmm. Or he seemed fine. Because I think it turned from him sort of trying to impress his parents and trying to be good to when he realized that they didn't care.
Yeah. That's definitely it.
Because when he got success and saw they still didn't care, that's when he started just going off the deep end.
Yeah, that and the combination of his best friend screwing over his best friend.
Yeah. The guilt.
The guilt of that. That's pretty much what tipped him over, which is valid. Yeah. It's that thing of, like, you know, you can have a really shitty childhood and you can feel sorry for someone who had a really, really shitty childhood, like Beatrice. She had fucking, oh my god, her childhood messed up. Her becoming...
So fucked up.
Yeah. Her becoming a mother was a shit situation as well. Doesn't excuse what she did to Bojack. No,
that's the thing. And they said that as well. Bojack using his childhood and things like his trauma was an excuse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a reason. But not an excuse.
No. Yeah.
It's like using it to justify everything you do, where instead of using it to grow and to learn. Like, I've done some shitty things. And I'm like, oh, there are things that I do, and I'm like, oh, it's just because I have anxiety or whatever. And you have to sort of be like, you can't do that, Savannah. Yeah. You can't just avoid things that you have to do or respond irrationally and be like, well, it's fine because I have this. You can understand why that's what you're feeling, but you have to overpower that and have a decision made in there to not do that.
Yeah.
And it is hard, but it is possible.
Yeah. I also really like the debate of, like, with Beatrice's dementia. It's that debate of, if that person doesn't know what they did is wrong, how do you explain that to them? Yeah. Especially because, like, the whole funeral episode is heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. And it's just that thing of, like, it's just that whole situation was just fucked up. And, like, especially, it was, like, the funeral episode and that episode where he's trying to fix the house. It's going in between Bojack fixing the house with the fly guy and Beatrice and her mother trying to deal with the impact of losing a son during a war. And it's that whole thing of, like, when you've lost someone, that grief is all-consuming, especially if the person was so important to you. And also that doesn't excuse the way that you deal with that guilt. Like, obviously, what was Beatrice's mother's name?
I don't remember.
Obviously, Beatrice's mother is so sad and so full of grief, which is very understandable. Losing your son like that, awful, horrible pain. And yet she almost kills her daughter in doing it, which is inexcusable. But her punishment for that is also inexcusable. Drilling, taking out a piece of a person's brain? Are we joking?
It's just your womanly hormone.
Oh my god.
The fact that they used to do that, though, is
not so long ago either.
Fucked, man.
I once saw a list of things that would get you into a asylum 100 or so years ago, and it's basically just like, you have a period. politics. One of them was just politics. I don't know what it meant, but it was just politics.
Interesting.
So it's probably implying that if you're a woman and you express political beliefs, you belong in an asylum. Which basically was a torture chamber. Yeah.
All I know about asylum is just from American Horror Story. Very realistic, very accurate. The asylum season of American Horror Story is obviously exactly, ooh, it's pretty outside.
Ooh, the sun is setting.
Ooh, that looks real nice.
Yeah. You guys can't see it, but
know that we are appreciating it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yes. Which is a good point. There are very many asylums in that city.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it happened right here.
Yeah.
Right where we're standing, which is terrifying to think about.
London is old.
Yeah.
So old.
Mm-hmm. I always think about that. Completely off topic from Bojack Horseman, but I always think about, like, when you walk down streets, especially, and you can't do it in New Zealand, obviously, but, like, you know, Germany and Japan and Indonesia and here, I always think, like, what shit happened right here where I'm standing? Yeah. It's a very interesting thought that I go through very often.
No, yeah. Same.
Anyway, back to Bojack Horseman. What were we talking about?
I think we weren't on a specific. We were moving. We were talking about the
Beatrice.
Yeah.
To finally end, we should talk about the second to last episode.
Bro, that episode fucks with me so much.
Yeah. It's the one that's on TikTok a lot, which I didn't understand the implications behind, but now that I know, it means so many things.
Yeah. TikTok's used a bunch of Bojack sounds.
Yeah. Especially the one where I always forget that she was in the show, the girl that he dated that was in a coma.
Yeah.
That's played by...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All flags are the same colour when you're wearing rose-coloured glasses. What is it?
All red flags look the same when you're wearing rose-coloured glasses.
That's right.
Yeah, that's on TikTok a lot. I forget she's in the show half the time. Yeah. That's also an interesting conversation. About, like, what do you do when you date someone that, like, doesn't know anything?
Well, yeah, that's why they said she's like a mentally stunted 20. Yeah. It's like she was 20.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's the first time Bojack's dated someone his own age and she's basically 20.
Yeah.
And, like, Hollywood stars, like, stop aging because they can. They get away with whatever they want. They don't need to grow up or mature.
Yeah. I'm going through, like, who Bojack dated during the show, and oh my goodness. Oh, it's real bad. Because you also had his co-star.
Who he strangled.
Yeah.
His publicist.
Yeah.
Yeah, he dated Princess Carolyn.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just hooked up with a lot of people.
Just so many. Yeah. And the fact that his daughter was his sister, that messed with me for so long. That confused me. Yeah.
It's interesting because it's interesting because, like, she had the diamond, which his dad didn't have.
Yeah.
So, but his mom did. So that's why you'd think that it was his daughter and not sister, because it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
But then I like that in the episode where they're showing, like, Beatrice's backstory, his dad said, my mom had one of those diamonds. Because they really thought about that. Yeah. That way it made sense that it was his daughter.
They did it really well. I accidentally called out that Bojack had a daughter.
Yeah.
I remember your face very explicitly, because I was just like, we were joking about what happens next episode, and I was like, watch, everything's good. It'll be like he'll have a daughter next episode, and you went,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And then it didn't happen. I was like, oh, maybe I guessed wrong. And then it happened next season. And I was like, oh, well.
But he didn't really actually have a daughter, did he?
No.
So.
Yeah.
The way they did that as well, like after Hollyhock found out who Bojack was. Oh, that was heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking, but I completely respect.
I totally understand, but like it's really funny because I realized that people watching this who've never seen the show have no idea what we're doing.
We told you to go watch it, okay?
We're doing a terrible job of, we're like not finishing sentences.
No.
We're literally just like, if you've seen the show, you probably understand what we're saying. If you haven't, none of this means anything to you because we aren't finishing sentences, and you probably have not made it this far.
Go watch the show, basically, is what we're trying to say.
Even if we have spoiled it, like, I've watched it 3 times. I've watched it, 4 or 5 times, and we both want to rewatch it again.
Yeah, definitely.
When we get a TV, we'll rewatch it for sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely worth it, even if you know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like we've given you a little bit of tasters, so if you want to know what the fuck we're talking about, you should go watch it. The second to last episode is one of the most beautifully animated things I've ever seen. It's so good. I will explain this one in depth for you. Basically, he is in like this dream kind of state where he's going through all the people that have died in his life. So it's Sarah Lynn, it's his uncle, his mum, his dad.
But he sees his dad as Secretariat, which is...
Yeah.
Who else is in there?
The dude...
the guy
who strangled himself. Or who...
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Herb. Is that everyone?
I think that's everyone.
The fact that Herb died on a peanut is fucking hilarious to me. I find that so funny to me.
It's fucking terrible.
He's basically having dinner with all the people that he loves who died. And then you find out that he is currently dying during that, and it's all about basically what you go through. Not that they would know, but before you die. And it's every single moment of that episode is just intense.
When Kat and I watch things, we will pause
all the time,
every 2 seconds to discuss things. So like something will happen, like literally it takes us forever to watch anything. We'll pause, we'll discuss something that's happened on screen. Usually 3 seconds later they'll say the exact same thing as we did, but that doesn't matter. We hit pause, we talk about it. Even watching YouTube videos, we stop, we react, we have conversations while we watch things. There are a few episodes of Bojack where literally not a single sound came out of either of us. No. The funeral episode was one of them. Sarah Lynn, and this one. Yeah. All the second to last episodes, we made no comments.
No, we were still.
I'd seen them before, so I was sometimes looking at Kat for her reaction, and the entire time she's just sitting there just like staring, unmoving. Just like you could watch her just so focused on what was going on. There was no talking to her.
Those episodes really trance-like almost. My favorite thing about it was both the dripping of the blackness. Yeah. And also when they went through the door into nothing. It was just such an interesting take, because as soon as I saw like the first kind of drip, I'm like, oh, he's dying. Very obvious. Because it was like, oh, darkness, death. He's seeing people that have died before. It's kind of... And then he didn't die. It's very good that he didn't die, because that would have been a weird way to go about the show, is if he erased all his mistakes and accountability by just dying and not having to go to jail. Yeah.
Hello, the lighting has changed. Everything has changed. My camera died, and then the sun went down. So... we're back now. One of these days the lights won't change. I'm buying new lights.
And
cameras. So we're getting all new equipment. So don't worry. This won't happen, well, no promises.
Yeah.
I'll Hopefully it won't. Anyway, back into it.
Back to what I was saying. Death and accountability, right? So when a person dies, you can't really hold them accountable to... I won't get into that because that's nearing like death penalty kind of stuff, and that's a much bigger conversation for...
Could talk about that for days.
Yeah. But it's that thing of like, if he had died in the last episode, he couldn't have gone to jail, he couldn't have... The last episode would have been off, in my opinion. It wouldn't have followed the accountability theme that they had throughout the entire show. But the good thing about that episode is how terrified he was to die. Because the whole show, there was kind of this theme of like, Bojack wanted to die, right? It was a lot of, he got himself into dangerous positions, he drank, he did stupid shit. It was just kind of like, he didn't really want anything anymore. And then you got to this place where he was dying, and the whole time he was like, no, this is scary. This is nothing. It's a pit of nothing, and all these people around me didn't get to fix their mistakes. They didn't get to redeem themselves. They didn't get to see past their endings. Like Sarah Lynn, she didn't become an architect. Any of them. The dude who auto-asphyxiated himself, he didn't even get to finish the show, kind of thing. Which was later nominated for a Oscar. But yeah, it's kind of this thing of like, it was very final, and it was grim and dark, and like the phone call that he makes to Diane, it's like she didn't pick up. But he wanted her to pick up. He wanted someone to help him, even though the whole show is about how he doesn't want help from people. I think they did it so well and so tastefully, if that makes sense, like really respectfully. And I think it was a very good note to end it on. I also could tell that they didn't want to end it, like they wanted to end it on that note, but the last like half of the season was very much like, we need to put in all of the notes that we wanted. I didn't want it to.
They would have wanted... I feel like the reporters may not have existed.
Oh, no.
If they'd have had more time to explain the story, because they were sort of there to move the story along.
Yeah, exactly.
I hated those characters.
Yeah, that was the only part of the show that I was like, this shouldn't... I don't like this.
I think those characters were only there to be able to tie pieces together.
Definitely.
That if they had an extra season, they would have been able to do themselves.
Yeah, but Netflix sucks, so they didn't get that. But yeah, I truly, truly believe that it's one of those shows that I will be watching for a long time, and finding new pieces and new connections and new meanings and just little pieces that I will connect to more maybe in the future than I do now. And yeah,
it's an incredible show.
It's so good.
The other show that you have to watch if you watch Bojack is you have to watch Tuca and Betty.
Yes, definitely.
It is different, but
I watched Tuca and Betty first. Yeah,
because it's Bojack's sister show, so it's like the same creators, same sort of idea. It's a bit more wacky, like the animation style and the things that happen is a bit weirder, and it's definitely not as dark.
Yeah,
but
I could see them making it darker in the future. They didn't.
They're getting a season 2.
Are they?
It got renewed.
Oh my god.
Oh, I'm so fucking happy because it got cancelled, right? Like way too early. It got cancelled, and I was so upset because basically this show revolves around women. It's all women. There's like one man in the whole fucking show, other than that's like a good man, but the whole thing sort of focuses on sexual harassment, women's issues, trauma, and it is so, so good. And it talks about it really well, and it's also, again, really funny. And it got cancelled. And I was so devastated. And it's not Netflix. Someone else picked it up. I can't remember who it is, but someone picked it up, and it's got a season 2 coming.
I'm really, really happy about that, because I just got into it when it, like, the last couple of episodes was when I was like, this is a really good show, and then it finished. So I'm really happy that it gets a season 2. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I'm so hyped.
Yeah.
I found out a few days ago.
That's so cool.
I'm so excited. You have to watch both. They are different.
Yeah, they're very different kinds of shows, but they're both equally as well written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a podcast on Tuka Betty sometime.
Yeah.
It's not as long though, so
no, we need more content to be able
after season 2, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, we hope you've enjoyed this. If you want to see us talk about more sort of shows and things,
I love talking about this.
We should do another She-Ra episode because we fell short on that one a little bit.
We did. I love talking about this kind of stuff. This is what I want to do as a profession, you know. My YouTube videos mostly.
Yeah, her YouTube videos are analysis and stuff. So if you enjoyed this, if you want to see something more concise, Kat is going to be uploading more regularly on her YouTube channel. Which is analysis of like music videos and songs and things like that. And it's very, very good. So you should check that out.
But I will try and convince you guys to let me do this more often because I have many shows that I want to talk about, many things. Yeah.
Yeah. How do we normally end these?
Petitions.
Yes.
Yeah. Watch the show. Support the creators of Bojack Horseman. I highly recommend it. Blah blah blah. Give us your thoughts about.
Yes, let us know.
The show.
Yeah.
And as always, in the link in the description, there will be a bunch of petitions, things to sign about some very important things in the world that we really recommend checking out and just going through them. There's just a lot of things happening in the world that really need people's attention, and it'd be really good if you just check them out. And yeah. Other than that,
I think
thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for coming. We love you
so much.
Thank you for all your love and support. We love and support you back. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. Mwah. Thank you so much to our wonderful, wonderful patrons.
Thank you to Amy, Eliza, Scar, Gina, Theo, Nicolaj, Jess, Valerie, Sasha, Sky, Artemis, Cassidy, Mariah, Raven, Abby, Gio, Emily, Hadley, Antonia, Trina, Marissa, Norman, Jeff, Danny, Neil, Wolf, Jordan, Riley, Phoebe, and Deshawn.
We love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.